into our hearts of Christ, your Son, was made known by the message of an angel, may by his passion and cross be brought to the glory of his resurrection, through the same Christ our Lord. Amen.
RPN Radio Philippines Network, Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao, member kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Talagang nagbuhos ng napakatinding ulan. Ang resulta, lagpas taong taas ng baha.
Gabi takot na po kami. Ilang minuto lang po na ang taas na po ng tubig.
Merong mga outsiders na nananamantala.
Wala pa nga rin daw tumutulong sa kanila.
Kahit yung mga bahay dito sa paligid, lubog na sa baha.
This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Tonight on the program, healthcare workers roll up their sleeves as they get a COVID-19 vaccine brand of choice for a booster shot. The Bongbong Marcos Sara Duterte tandem is now official, but not for President Duterte, who wants presidential aspirant Senator Bongo as his daughter's running mate. And it's a universe of trouble for Peter Parker as more old foes return in the new trailer of Spider-Man: No Way Home. A big day for medical frontliners today as the administration of the long-awaited COVID-19 booster shot begins. There are over 1.6 million health workers nationwide who may now receive an extra dose. What do you know so far about this? Carolyn Bonkin reports.
Fully vaccinated medical frontliners lined up at the National Kidney and Transplant Institute on Wednesday. They completed COVID-19 vaccine doses between March and early May. Now, they're getting a booster shot. Among the first in line are doctors, nurses, and other hospital staff in the COVID patient area.
Malaking bagay, lalo na nasa frontline ako sa cashier. So, hindi lang pasyente, yung mga relative na pwede naming sabihin na carrier, isa yon sa naging namin, parang protective shield yung bakuna talaga.
It is very important for our healthcare workers who deal with these patients who are at very high risk for severe COVID disease to make sure that they are protected.
The hospital's executive director is among those who had asked the national government for booster doses.
Mabababa ang antibody level nila. Nasabi namin, sila ngayon ay baka magkaroon ng infeksyon dahil sila ang nasa frontliner.
A health department memorandum lists down the guidelines for the administration of booster doses to medical frontliners beginning November 17.
Health workers may now choose their preferred vaccine as booster. They may opt for the same vaccine or a different brand as long as it is among those recommended by the DOH and there is supply.
The approved boosters are single doses of Pfizer, Sinovac, and AstraZeneca, and half a dose of Moderna vaccine. If the initial shots received were from Pfizer, Moderna, Sinovac, AstraZeneca, and Gamaleya, you may take the booster 6 months after completing the 2 doses. If the single dose Janssen was taken, booster is available after 3 months. But for those who initially got AstraZeneca, a different vaccine is more recommended. Those who previously had a negative reaction to COVID vaccine have to check with a doctor first and are recommended to use the same brand.
With heterologous vaccinations, studies point out that more adverse reactions are expected, especially with the mRNA vaccines.
With these options, infectious diseases experts say you need to think twice before getting an extra dose. It's optional, not mandatory.
If you want a booster, hindi ko magagaranti na that's useful, and hindi ko rin magagaranti na there won't be a bad side effect.
The government wants to give boosters to as many medical frontliners as they can before COVID cases spike again. Senior citizens and those with compromised immune systems are next in line for booster shots.
Pinaka-earliest next week, ang pinaka-latest is isasama na natin siya sa National Vaccination Day, the 29th.
There will be separate guidelines for each of these groups for the immunocompromised. Meron din yan. No? Hindi naman kasi lahat ng may comorbidities bibigyan mo.
The rest of the population has to wait for next year to get their booster shots. Caroline Bongkin, CNN Philippines.
An additional 3.5 million doses of the Chinese-made Sinovac COVID-19 vaccines arrive in the country. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez says the latest shipment completes the delivery of Sinovac vaccines procured by the government through the Asian Development Bank. Galvez adds these shots will be used as booster doses for healthcare workers and during the 3-day national vaccination drive scheduled for November 29th to December 1st. So far, over 128.44 million doses of vaccines have arrived in the country. These include purchases by the national and local governments and donations from the COVAX facility and other nations. The country has administered 71.68 million vaccines since the inoculation program kicked off in March. Over 39 million people already got their first dose, and more than 32.2 million are fully vaccinated. That's equivalent to 29.23% of the total population. The goal is to vaccinate 77 million, or 70% of the total population. Drug regulators approved the emergency use of another brand of COVID-19 vaccine in the country. The U.S.-based biotechnology company Novavax has been granted emergency use authorization for its vaccine called Covovax. Covovax is manufactured by the Serum Institute of India. The Food and Drug Administration says Covovax is a protein subunit type of vaccine that has an efficacy rate of 89.7%. The vaccine may be administered to individuals aged 18 and above. The FDA says Covovax will be given in 2 doses and should not be less than 21 days apart. The vaccine could possibly be used towards the end of the year or in 2022. And while the lifting of the face shield policy is welcome news for Filipinos in areas under alert level 1 to 3, our Tristan Nadalo tells us the new rule takes a toll on vendors as well as on the environment.
From commuters to mall goers to daily workers, Filipinos heave a sigh of relief after the government lifted the mandatory use of face shield in areas under alert levels 1 to 3. Not to mention the added expense of buying face shields on a regular basis.
Mas okay po kasi hindi na siya hassle. Itatabi na lang po para in case na may mga lugar pa na nagpaparequire pa rin ng face shield, di na ako gagastos.
Masaya na din kasi nakakahinga ka ng mabuti. And din bawas pa din sa gastos.
But not everyone is happy, especially the vendors who rely on face shield sales.
Ito, lugi na ako. Wala na akong pagkakaano nito, pagkakakitaan. Nandito lang.
Wala naman ko tayong magagawa kung free na tayo sa facial, di ba? Eh, hindi naman ako bumibili ng maramihan.
Use of face shields is still required in hospitals, quarantine facilities, and areas under alert level 5 and granular lockdowns. Now that Filipinos are saying goodbye to face shields, the question now is, where do millions of these plastic barriers go? The Environment Department says don't throw them away just yet and consider these options.
We can recycle the face shields. It can be turned into other construction materials. It can be recycled back to plastics. It can be an alternative fuel. And all of these are already available nationwide.
An estimated 65 million face shields were used so far based on the data gathered by the Environment Department. Environmental groups are sounding the alarm on the long-term impact of this plastic waste. Barangay San Antonio in Pasig faces the challenge by launching an initiative collecting trash in exchange.
We segregate from the household level. So you segregate your plastics, your used cartons, your used oils, and so forth. And monthly, we create an eco-hub. Participants or residents can bring their trashes here in exchange for rice grains. 3 kilos for 1 kilo of rice.
The barangay will collect used face shields beginning November 27th and will team up with organizations to recycle the plastic items. Testa Nudalo, CNN Philippines.
More institutions get the green light to hold limited face-to-face classes. The Interagency Task Force allowed universities under alert 1 to 3 to hold limited in-person classes, but they must meet these conditions. Indoor venue capacity is at 50%. Local governments do not oppose the program, and participating teaching and non-teaching personnel, as well as students, are fully vaccinated. The IATF also approved the phased implementation of classes. Phase 1 begins December 1st, where institutions under alert level in January for universities under alert level 3. Coming up on Newsnight, another boost amid the global health crisis. Pfizer wants U.S. authorities authorization for its anti-COVID drug. And it seems President Duterte wants a different running mate for his daughter, vice presidential aspirant Sara Duterte. Details next here on CNN Philippines.
Love is all about time. Di minamadali ang pagpapasarap. Like the love in every Pure Foods ready to eat. Slow cooked and ready in 8 minutes. Para may time ka sa mga mahal mo. Because love takes time.
Kabilang ba kayo sa mga Pilipino na nahihirapan sa mga transaksyon dahil wala o kulang ang mga valid IDs?
Huwag nang mag-alala dahil narito na po ang PhilSys, ang identification system ng bawat Pilipino.
Para sa Step 1 registration, pumunta lang sa register.philsys.gov.ph para makapag-register sa PhilSys online. Ito ang PhilSys, ID natin to. Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo ganado sa Nutri-Chunks. We'll be making a strawberry martini, a great way to level up a special occasion. Here's what you'll be needing for this cocktail. For the tools, you'll need... We start by adding ice into our mixing glass, and in goes your GSM Premium Gin. And then we add our dry vermouth. Finally, the strawberry syrup for some sweetness. Now take your bar spoon. Once all blended nicely, grab your strainer and pour your cocktail into your martini glass. Garnish this with some fresh strawberries. There you have it, your strawberry martini made with GSM Premium Gin. Namamasko po! This Christmas, we may not be celebrating the way we used to because of the ongoing pandemic, but there is still a lot to be grateful for, and definitely a lot of ways we can share the Christmas spirit with others.
Ngayong Pasko, bukod sa paghahanda natin ng salo-salo sa sarili nating tahanan, samahan niyo po kami ni Isa na mag-sponsor ng iba pang pamilya para sa kanilang Pure Foods Noche Buena. Mula sa halagang 800 pesos, maaari na tayong magbahagi ng Pure Foods Fiesta Ham, tender juicy hotdog, TJ spaghetti sauce.
Your new favorite viands are also now made ready to eat by Pure Foods. Crispy fried chicken, caldereta, kare-kare, and many more. Your Noche Buena can be ready in as little as 15 minutes.
Wow!
Bilis!
Isang kompleto at masayang pagdiriwang ng Noche Buena ang naghihintay para sa inyo at para sa pamilyang reregaluhan ninyo ng Pure Foods Noche Buena Pack.
Ito ay mahahanap sa San Miguel Foods website. Magtungo sa thehub.sanmiguel.com.ph. Let us continue the spirit of Christmas giving so more of us can celebrate the season.
Sama-sama po tayong magdiwang ng Pasko!
Buong Pasko sa Paskong Pure Foods!
Welcome back to CNN Philippines. In world headlines, Pfizer seeks regulatory approval in the United States for its experimental antiviral pill to treat COVID-19. A clinical trial shows the drug called Paxlovid reduced the risk of hospitalization or death in mild to moderate cases by 89%. But these are results from an interim analysis done before the trial ended. The new pill needs to be administered with an older antiviral within the first 3 days of symptoms to be effective. U.S. President Joe Biden makes it clear he is not encouraging Taiwan's independence from China. Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping met yesterday for a high-stakes virtual summit amid growing tensions between their nations. The American leader recognized Beijing's claim of sovereignty over Taiwan during the talks, but affirmed the U.S. One China policy, which allows the Western country to have defense ties with a self-run island. The U.S. has been providing defensive support to Taiwan amid China's increasing military posturing. Back here at home, several towns in the province of Zamboanga del Sur hit by floods and landslides. This was the result of heavy rains brought by the Intertropical Convergence Zone since Tuesday afternoon. In the town of Dumingag, a landslide covered the road connecting Zamboanga del Sur to Sundangan, Zamboanga del Norte. Floods and landslides also destroyed houses and crops in other towns. The Department of Agriculture is set to release the suggested retail price for pork this week. Pork prices have spiked by as much as 40 pesos ahead of the holiday season. Early this year, the DA imposed an SRP of 260 pesos per kilo of kasim and 290 pesos for liempo. Meanwhile, Agriculture Assistant Secretary Noel Reyes says the country lacks enough cold storage for imported pork.
The challenge is the available space sa cold storage facilities kasi hindi lang pork ang nasa loob ng cold storage, di ba? Mga ice cream, processed foods in time for Christmas. We're allowing imports, but then again, the importers are not bringing as much kasi they couldn't do so because there's limited cold storage facility space, di ba? Because of the Christmas season.
In other news, the Presidential Commission on Good Government reports it has recovered close to 267 billion pesos of the Marcos family's ill-gotten wealth. Officials told senators the amount retrieved is over 174 billion pesos in cash and almost 94 billion pesos in non-cash assets. In September, the Sandigan Bayan ordered the Royal Traders Holdings Incorporated to pay the government at least 367 million pesos. These include deposits made by the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos in bank certificates worth 96 million pesos and over $5.4 million. The PCGG is appealing the Sandigan Bayan decision denying the return of 278,488 shares issued by the Royal Bank of Canada, allegedly owned by Marcos. The court, however, said there was lack of evidence to prove these were part of the ill-gotten wealth. The Justice Department says the appeal is pending in court. Presidential aspirant Leody de Guzman leads a commemoration for workers who died in a tragedy 40 years ago. 169 workers were buried under quick-drying cement on November 17, 1981, when the scaffolding collapsed during the construction of the Manila Film Center. De Guzman, a labor leader, called for justice for the victims and slammed the so-called golden age of infrastructure during the Marcos administration. De Guzman and his supporters also offered flowers with messages saying, quote, "Never again," in front of the theater. Let's now have an up-close conversation with Leody himself. Good evening po, Leody, and welcome to Newsnight.
Magandang gabi, Pia, at saka sa iyong mga taga-panood.
Oo. Leody, babalikan po natin yung Manila Film Center dahil pag-uusapan naman po natin si Bongbong Marcos. Pero ito na po muna, no? Kayo po ba mismo yung nagko-compose ng mga tweets ninyo? Kayo po mismo yung nagtitweet? Or is someone doing that for you? In other words, someone to support you tweet us?
Mayroon akong team na nagdi-discussion para doon sa mga ilalabas na statement ko sa bawat issue o bawat araw.
So,
kaya
pero,
nagkakaroon ng diskusyon.
Okay, pero yung ideas mismo, sa inyo galing or sa kanila?
Sa akin din, minsan sa kanila, nagdi-discussion kami, papalitan, sasabihin ko, okay yan, Sasabihin naman nila, okay din yan. Parang ganon. Mayroon kaming team na nag-uusap-usap sa mga statement kong ilalabas.
Isa sa mga statements na nilabas po ninyo sa social media ay yung meron kayong parang challenge kay Sara Duterte na sige, tumakbo ka para, and we quote, yung pagkamuhi daw sa pamilya nila, lumabas daw kapag tumakbo si Sara and makikita daw sa elections. When you came out with that, Kalyodi, ang tingin nyo ba tama yung statement nyo? Because if you look at the surveys, well, at the time, no, when she was still included dun sa presidential rankings, mataas ang survey ranking niya eh. So, paano po yun? How can you say na lalabas yung pagkamuhi or hindi siya mananalo sa eleksyon dahil galit ang tao sa kanyang pamilya?
May ganun akong reading na yung mga tao sa pagdating ng eleksyon ay magdi-decide at ang kanilang decision ay magbabatay doon sa kanilang halos 6 years na panunungkulan ng kanyang ama na hindi naman talaga nangyari yung pangako ng kanyang ama dahil sa ang paraan ay pananakot at palpak talaga yung kanyang ginawa sa nakalipas na halos mag-6 na taon na. At ang tingin ko ay magdi-decide ang taong bayan pagdating ng eleksyon.
Well, anong tingin po ninyo sa so-called BBM Bongbong Marcos, Sara Duterte tandem? Although nasa ibang partido sila, they're supposed to be a tandem now. They're going to be supposedly running together. What do you think of that?
Tingin ko, isang natural na bagay yun. Talaga namang nagsasama-sama yung mga magkakapareho. Para nga bang yung lumang kasabihan na bird of the same feather flock together. Parehong dinastiya, parehong akusado sa pagnanakaw, pareho ding akusado sa pagpatay. Kaya natural sa tingin ko na magsama silang dalawa.
Pag sinabi po ninyo pagpatay, you're referring of course to the war on drugs of President Duterte. If you were president, if you won in the election and you were president, anong klaseng war on drugs ang gagawin nyo? Dahil let's be honest, talagang problema naman talaga yung droga sa atin eh. So we do need to do something about it. But how would you handle it?
Hindi sa paraang pagpatay. Talagang yung droga. Pero ang approach ay hindi dun sa pagpapatayin yung mga involved at saka yung mga biktima ng droga, kundi ituklasin ano ba yung root cause. Ako naniniwala na malaking bahagi ng dahilan niyan ay yung laganap na kahirapan ng ating mga mamayan. Kaya dapat yun ang i-address. At itrato na ito'y isang health problem. At hindi ito mga parang police problem na sundalo at police ang i-approach ito. At tama naman na dapat harapin yan. Pero yun nga, sa akin, yung root cause ng problem ang dapat i-address.
Okay, nabanggit po ninyo ang salitang health. So syempre, meron po tayong pandemya ngayon, this health crisis. How would you manage it differently?
Siyempre, yung sa COVID, dapat iba rin, no? Hindi rin parang solusyong militar ang paraan. At hindi dapat ang mga nagpapatakbo niyan at nagmamanage ay mga general ng ating mga kasundaluhan o kapulisan. Kundi dapat mga expert ng medical ang siyang dapat namumuno at nagpapasya doon sa mga dapat gawin. Doon sa drugs ay dapat rehabilitation. Kinakailangan ay i-rehabilitate natin, iligtas natin yung mga biktima ng droga. At yung mga siyang nagpapakana, yung mga drug lord, ay dapat ay makulong ang lahat ng iyan. Hindi dapat patakasin.
Balik po tayo sa health crisis, sa pandemya, Kalyodi. Sino po yung pipiliin yung health secretary?
Pwede yan si Leaction na siyang parang vocal na vocal ngayon na nagpapaliwanag ng mga scientific na approach tungkol doon sa paglaban sa COVID. Pwede siya na isang contender para sa posisyon na yun.
Okay. Kanina lamang, before we introduced you, Kaliodi, napag-usapan po natin yung Manila Film Center. No? Of course, 1981, so that happened 40 years ago. In other words, there is an entire generation of Filipinos who don't even know that that happened. No? So, ang tagal na ng panahon, 35, 36 years since EDSA 86. So, the question now is, you have Bongbong Marcos running, tapos ang daming nagsasabi, paano tayo nakarating sa puntong ito? Nagka-EDSA tayo noong 1986, although kayo pa sa kaliwa, no? Medyo wala pa kayo sa EDSA. But anyway, ibang issue yon. Pero ang daming nagsasabi, kasalanan daw ng taong bayan dahil we have short memories. Now, we don't remember. That's why yung never again, never forget, para bang wala sa atin yun, ano? Pero pag tumingin po kayo sa history ng after EDSA, yung post-Marcos years, 35 years po yun, 26 years of those 35 years, mga administrations ng mga presidente na who were allied against Marcos. So ano po yung naging problema natin, Kaliodi, sa tingin ninyo?
Ako tingin ko kung bakit nagkaganyan, yung mismong pangako ng EDSA ay hindi naman natupad. Walang nangyayari. Parang ipinagpatuloy lang yung mga pamamaraan, polisiya ng dating diktador na si Marcos. Yung inaasam ng mamaya na pagbabago ay hindi naman na i-deliver noong pumalit ng mga nagpalit-palit na gobyerno after Marcos. Kaya yung mga tao ay hindi ito isa bilang kalimot, kundi parang wala rin naman pala, baka mas mabuti pa yung dati. Kaya nagkakaroon ng ganung pagbalik sa desperasyon ng mamamayan doon sa kapalpakal din nung ini-offer nung pumalit kay Marcos. Yung bang elite democracy ay natigil lamang sa ilang bilang ng pamilya sa ating bansa, hindi tumagos yung demokrasya sa hanay ng mga manggagawa, ng ating mga maralita, mga driver, ng magsasaka, ng mga pangkaraniwang tao. Hindi nila maramdaman. At ang masakit ay parang pagpapatuloy lamang ng mga karahasan, kahirapan, tuloy-tuloy na pangungutang, pagkabaon sa pagnanakaw, ay nagtuloy-tuloy lang naman yun eh.
Nagtuloy-tuloy, oo. Pati yung mga political families. Political families, nandun pa rin sila, no? In the post-Marcos Congress, for example, andyan sila lahat. But Kaliodi, are you saying na you agree with political analysts when they say that this election could be a referendum on EDSA, and not just the Duterte administration, because you have Marcos, who has 40% of the vote in the latest survey, in the latest survey rankings, above 40%, di ba?
Yung pagtaas ng rango ni Marcos o ni Sara, may malaking factor dyan yung perang pinapakawalan nila. Grabe kasi yung perang pinapakawalan para ipatampukin o baguhin, revise yung buong kasaysayan ng panahon ni Marcos. Kaya parang nabobola, nalilin lang yung ating mamayan using yung kanilang perang ninakaw nung panahon ng kailang panunungkulan.
Kaliodi, itutuloy po natin itong conversation na ito after the break. Still yet on Newsnight, like we said, we're still going to get Kaliodi de Guzman's take on several issues, and a look also at the latest trailer of the third Spider-Man film, No Way Home. Stay with us here on Newsnight on CNN Philippines.
Exhibit X, my cheese. Exhibit TJ, cheese yes. Totoo nga! Walang duda, kids can tell na ang cheesiest ng #1 Denver Juicy Cheese Dog. But TJ Cheese Dog ka naman.
Bawat patak, may sarap, may lakas, sulit.
Red Horse Beer.
When it comes to my family, I make sure to give them only the best. Meals that are healthy, safe, and flavorful. And that is why I choose Magnolia ready-to-cook chicken templados. It is so easy to prepare. In just 12 to 15 minutes, you can already enjoy this delicious family flavor. All you have to do is preheat your pan with oil. Now, pan fry your Magnolia ready-to-cook chicken barbecue. And if you wish, you can also grill this for about 12 to 15 minutes or until cooked. There you go, and now you can enjoy home-style goodness with Magnolia ready-to-cook chicken templados. Now, each Salyado Sigurado pack is pre-marinated. It is made from fresh chicken. It is so easy to prepare and super delicious. And not only that, but it is also high in protein, which helps boost our immune system. And you can get your Magnolia ready-to-cook chicken templados from Magnolia Chicken Stations. They come in chicken tocino flavor, and they also have the chicken teriyaki. This is so tasty, so tender, super, super delicious. My kids absolutely love this. Now, it's also good to know that Magnolia chickens are raised in a stress-free environment with no hormones, no antibiotic residue, and with omega-3. Ganyan ang alagang Magnolia.
The future looks bright in the north. Come December 2022, the Metro Rail Transit Line 7 is aimed to be completed by SMC Infrastructure, also known as MRT Line 7 or MRT7. This line will be 22.8 kilometers long, with 14 stations that can accommodate up to 650,000 passengers daily from Quezon City to San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, and vice versa. It is expected to reduce travel time down to approximately 35 minutes one way. With a total of 36 train sets or 108 train cars being procured from South Korea Hyundai Rodam, this rail will connect MRT3 and LRT1. Housing the trains is not a concern, as SMC's depot can hold up to 150 trains for future capacity expansion. As for the performance, factory acceptance testing for the initial 6 train sets, or 18 cars, was also conducted in South Korea. Once completed, MRT7 is seen to offer a faster and safer means of transportation and spur economic growth in the northern part of Metro Manila and the province of Bulacan.
Welcome back to CNN Philippines. It's official. Presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos and Vice Presidential hopeful and Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte are teaming up for next year's elections. Despite this, Mayor Sara's father, the president, is still pushing for another tandem. What does this mean for others joining the 2022 race? Our Rex Remigio gives us the details.
No matter how long the negotiations, along with speculations, and even some drama, things eventually ended up with the Bongbong Marcos Sara Duterte. For supporters, it's a dream team. For critics, it's a nightmare coming. Both Marcos and Sara Duterte confirmed their tandem Tuesday evening. A coalition between Marcos's Partido Federal and Lakas CMD has also been formalized. For a political analyst, this will boost their chances of winning.
It's a strong tandem but not necessarily unbeatable, di ba?
Sila parating titingnan, sila parating obserbahan. So the other contenders will definitely keep a watchful eye on the Sara Bongbong tandem.
The two say they will also go around the country to campaign and seek for more support. But the tandem may also have its own challenges. Sara's father, President Duterte, does not support her partnership with Marcos. He wants his daughter to run with his longtime aide, Senator Bongo, who also wants to run with Sara. Support for Go and Sara is the president's quote standing order to almost 100 lawmakers who attended the meeting at the palace Tuesday evening. Marcos and Go have committed to continue the chief executive's programs and projects. But in the end, Sara Duterte chose Marcos.
Ang aking partido ay nakipag-alyansa at humingi ng suporta para kay Bongbong Marcos at para sa akin. Matapos kong tanggapin ang inyong hamon at panawagan.
Political analyst Jean Franco says differences between the father and daughter will not help the campaigns of Marcos, Sara, and Go.
They're coming from the same base yung base ni Duterte, diba? That would definitely split their voting base.
Franco adds it can even help the opposition and other candidates, but not enough to overtake Marcos, who's leading in a sponsored survey. Will others catch up?
This time that there's already the tandem, they will need to recalibrate or rethink yung kanilang campaign strategies.
More than 6 months to go before elections, anybody's ballgame. With battle lines drawn, voters now have the time to choose their leaders for the next 6 years wisely. Rex Remitio, CNN Philippines.
Meanwhile, Mayor Sara Duterte confirming she has accepted the offer of her party, Lakas CMD, to be its chairperson as part of efforts to solidify her campaign with Marcos. It was Senator Bong Revilla himself who offered his post. Now, last night, I spoke to another expert about the different tandems floated by the administration. For De La Salle University political science professor Julio Tiangqui, president endorsing the Go Duterte ticket, even while the Marcos Duterte tandem is already made official, shows the failure of the administration to unite forces for 2022. Here's what he told me on Politics as Usual last night.
Ang nagkakasala sa lapat ng mga kwento nila, no? The objective of the game is actually to coordinate, no, if they want to consolidate their forces, no. But apparently, what's happening here is failure in coordination, no. Reaction sa isa't isa, no, sa mga galaw nila, no. At parang chess yan, no, nag-abang sila kalaban nila, at saka sila gumalaw, no. Kaso lang sa sobrang dami na naglalaro, medyo nagugulo na yung laro, no? At medyo nalilito na rin ang taong bayan.
Another catch the full interview on the replay of Politics as Usual this Sunday, 7 in the evening, only here on CNN Philippines. Another presidential aspirant, Senator Manny Pacquiao, remains confident he will clinch a majority of the votes from the Visayas and Mindanao. This despite Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte's support for former Senator Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Pacquiao says he believes most voters in the Visayas and Mindanao will vote for a Visayan for president. The senator also unfazed by voter preference surveys showing him lagging behind other presidential aspirants. He says the warm reception he gets from the people during his sorties proves he is popular among voters. Pacquiao spoke before 400 pastors in Bulacan and paid a courtesy call on SIBAC party list representative Eddie Villanueva, who heads the Jesus is Lord Church. Pacquiao also met with Bulacan Governor Daniel Fernando to seek his support.
Pwede naman yung mind conditioning sa taong bayan Magpalabas sila ng survey ng gano'n, like online. Pag mag-survey ka sa online, daig talaga ako kasi marami sila, hindi ako gumagamit ng troll At the end of the day, ang taong bayan ang pipili, ang buboto. No, alam ko na ang mga mahihirap na tao, ang mga nagugutom na pamilya ng bawat Pilipino, nararamdaman nila yung naintindihan nila ako kung bakit ako ganito dahil doon ako galing. At alam ko na susuportahan nila ako.
The group of presidential aspirant and Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, meanwhile, says it is not bothered by the Marcos-Duterte tandem. Campaign chief Lito Banayo says it does not diminish Moreno's chances in 2022. Banayo says Moreno has visited different provinces while other candidates are still stuck in negotiations. We still have with us for up close presidential aspirant and labor leader Leody de Guzman. Leody, meron po kayong platform tungkol for women, and you also said that you would include women in your cabinet and LGBTQ. Is that enough to get the women's and the LGBTQ vote?
Mas ang intention ko dyan ay magkaroon talaga ng participation yung ating kababaihan. Mas yun ang aking intensyon. Yung boto, tupalo lang kung nagugustuhan nila yung aking plataforma. Pero kung bumoto man sila sa akin o hindi, ang nakikita ko, kinakailangan i-empower natin yung mga kababaihan at huwag parang ilagay lang sa sideline. Simulan na natin na bigyan ng recognition at pagkilala yung mga kababaihan, yung mga
LGBTQ.
LGBTQ, ay magkaroon din ng papel at huwag yung parang binabaliwala sila. Kasi tingin ko, malaki ang magiging contribution nila para sa pagsaayos ng ating pamahalaan.
Pero pag kababaihan ang pinag-uusapan, syempre, one of the first women come to mind is Lenny. At ang daming Lenny supporters nagalit po sa inyo, no? Dahil sa inyong statement na lugaw na walang laman. Bakit po ninyo sinabi yon?
Kaugnay yan doon sa kanyang statement kasi noong ko pa sinasabi, yung tungkol sa issue ng kontraktualisasyon, na naging sagot niya doon ay yung pag-aaralan at aalisin yung endo. Ay yung PIA, yung endo, ay matagal lang wala na yan at hindi na pinapractice ng negosyante. Ang pinapractice ng mga negosyante ngayon at siyang mukha ng kontraktualisasyon ngayon ay yung manpower agency. Doon na ipinasa ng mga kapitalista yung kailang mga manggagawa sa manpower agency. At yun ang mukha ng kontraktualisasyon na dapat wala na yun eh. Hindi na nag-direct hire yung mga kapitalista. Yung core labor na lang na ilang manggagawa ang kailangan nila, ang kanilang kinukuha. Pero majority ng kailang mga manggagawa ay sinosource out nila yon doon sa mga manpower agency. At yun ang plano ko na dapat buwagin.
Okay. Nabanggit po ninyo yung salita o yung terminong kapitalista, no? And you have very, of course, as expected, very radical or progressive views on, for example, minimum wage, taxes sa mayayaman. Pero I'm not going to ask you to detail that. Ang question ko po, Calyodi, is, are you expecting, you do know na hindi po kayo susuportahan ng big business, lalo na dahil sa mga plano ninyo, no? Because I'm sure ang sinasabi na, naku, naloko na pag ganyan ang gusto gawin ni Calyodi de Guzman. Hindi po ba? You know that, right? Or you think that you would still be supported?
Alam ko yun. At yun nga yung gusto kong baguhin doon sa ating politika dahil sa mahabang panahon, ang lahat na nasa likod ng mga politikong tumatakbo, lalo na sa pagka-presidente o vice-presidente, or even sa Senate, ang mga nasa likod niyan ay puro mga big business, yung mga kartel, mga monopolyo, na mga kilalang pangalang mga negosyante, na yun ang nananaig na interest na kailang sinusulong pagkatapos silang manalo. Na ang problema natin dyan, pagka ang interest ng mga big business ang nasunod, walang mangyayari talaga sa buhay ng mga manggagawa at ng sambayanan dahil yung kailang interest ay kontra sa interest ng mga manggagawa. Yung gusto ng mga manggagawa, ayaw nila. Yung gusto nila, ayaw namin dahil nakakasama sa amin eh. At ang isang larawan niyan, yung kontraktualisasyon. Yung kontraktualisasyon ay nagpapayaman sa iilan, pero nagpapahirap doon sa ating 45 million na mga manggagawa. Ganon din yung rice tarification law na ipinasa. Ay nagpapahirap yan doon sa 11 million na ating mga magsasaka, pero nagpapayaman yan doon sa mga negosyanteng importer ng bigas. Ay yung mga ganyan. Kaya nga sabi ko, Pia, kung ipag-aadya na ako'y manalo, talagang babaguhin ko yung mga batas at patakaran na nagli-legalize sa pagyaman ng ilan at pagpapahirap sa ating mamamayan.
Naririnig ko na naman yung mga negosyante. Sinasabi na, naku, naloko na. Okay, pero Calyodi, ito, ang mga yes or no questions na, and you know, syempre people are saying statement run kaya ito kay Calyodi. But anyway, yes or no lang po ang sagot, wala na pong explanation. Number one, do you favor easier public access sa mga SALN of the President, Vice President, members of Congress? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution? Yes or no? I can guess.
Pakiulit, Pia.
Do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution?
Yes.
Oh, talaga? Lifting foreign ownership limits, ha? Do you favor reimposition of death penalty for drug-related crimes? Yes or no? No. Should the sitting president be allowed to run for VP in the next election? However, medyo na-overtake na po yun. Never mind, kasi tatakbong senador si President Duterte. Our next question. Do you favor resuming peace talks with communist rebels, yes or no? Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay. And then, should the country be more aggressive in protecting its maritime interests in the West Philippine Sea? Yes or no?
Medyo magulo.
Ay, sorry.
Pakiulit.
Should the country be more aggressive in protecting its maritime interests sa West Philippine Sea? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yes po ang sagot ni Carliodi de Guzman, ang ating guest ngayong gabi sa Up Close dito po sa Newsnight. Maraming salamat po sa inyo, Carliodi.
Maraming
Thank you very
salamat,
much.
Pia. Maraming salamat.
Still ahead on Newsnight, we've got something for Potterheads, more about the return of your favorite wizarding trio after the break. Welcome back, Potterheads. Get ready for a nostalgic trip back to the wizarding world. The Harry Potter 20th Anniversary Return to Hogwarts special is set to feature the iconic cast for all-new, in-depth interviews 2 decades after the first film in the franchise premiered. Stars like Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint will make an appearance, as well as Emma Watson, who's already posted about her excitement for the special. That comes out on HBO Max January 1st. International release dates will be announced soon. Before we go, Peter Parker is back, but so are plenty of his previously defeated foes. A new trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home, starring Tom Holland and Zendaya, came out today. Several villains from the multiverse, like Sandman and Electro, return to wreak havoc on Peter Parker's world. But it will be up to the iconic hero to decide if they're worth saving. Here's a sneak peek of the trailer.
They're a danger to our universe. You never take this away from me.
You're struggling to have everything you want while the world tries to make you choose.
Spider-Man No Way Home hits Philippine theaters January next year. It is 38 days before Christmas, and that is it for now. Join me again on News.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Kini ang simbianan sa RPN Radio Philippines Network DXKS DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda 5,000 watts nagsimbiya sa ikatulong andana sa UFCO Lim Building, Borromeo Street, Dakbayan sa Surigao. RPN Radio Philippines Network DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda.
Frequent hand washing is one of the best ways to avoid getting sick and spreading illnesses, especially during this pandemic. As a result, many of us are noticing that our hands are dry, which isn't serious or dangerous, but it can be very irritating or bothersome for a lot of people. Nobody likes flaky or itchy hands, right? But while clean hands save lives, it's also important to protect them. After all, your health is in your hands. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. This is Med Talk Health Talk, where your care comes first. Dry skin skin is a sign that your skin isn't as happy as it should be. But there are several ways to keep it nice and happy as well as hydrated, no matter the cause. To help us with today's discussion, let's welcome on the program Dr. Emmy Onishi. She's a board-certified dermatologist at HOO Dermatology and the Philippine General Hospital. And we also have Dr. Christine Lorena Arienda Mojica. She's a family medicine specialist at QualiMed. Dry hands are very common, especially nowadays, and mainly triggered by environmental factors. Dr. Emmy, I'll start first with you. When it comes to dry hands, ano ba yung pinaka-common causes kung bakit nagda-dry ang kamay ng mga tao?
Dry hands, usually pinaka-unang cause, lalo na ngayon, it would be excessive hand washing, exposure to chemical or harsh cleansers, and some conditions that may actually predispose you to dryness, and medications that you are taking. So those are the common conditions that would cause dry hands.
Dr. Tin, in a country like ours, when it gets cooler or when we spend so much time in an air-conditioned environment, our skin can get very dry or rough at this point. How do we manage this? Ano yung pinakamadaling way to manage this type?
Actually, during low temperature, pag lumalamig po. And as you have mentioned, yung katulad yan, dry skin due to frequent hand washing, since we are in a pandemic. So usually we advise the patients not to thoroughly dry. Hindi naman sinabing sobrang dry, but leave some, parang ipapat dry mo. At the same time, you can add moisturizers or emollients to your skin.
Pero Dr. Emmy, when it comes to dry, pinag-usapan natin ang dry skin, ano? For those who probably have not experienced dry skin, what are some of the symptoms that a person with dry skin, what can they feel? What can they see?
Usually they would notice na rough yung skin. Also, it could be flaky and more sensitive, or it could sting easily. It's itchy as well. That's a common symptom as well.
Now, there are other certain factors that may increase our risk of developing dry skin, especially other diseases. Dr. Tin, ano yung ibang mga common diseases, chronic diseases maybe, that can contribute to one having dry skin?
Other skin diseases na commonly ko po nakikita sa practice, number one is atopic dermatitis, or someone minsan sinasabi nila skin asthma. Also meron din pong psoriasis, seborrheic dermatitis, and usually po yung mga nagko-cause din na vitamin deficiency.
Now let's talk about aging, because aging makes our skin more susceptible to dryness. That's why there are several products in the market to help someone with aging skin have their skin smoother and even younger looking. Dr. Emmy, what really happens when someone inevitably ages? What happens to their skin that promotes their skin to excessive dryness?
So when we age, kumukulang din, nag-iba yung structure ng skin, not only the outer layer, but also the dermis, which is responsible for the pliability. But aging skin, kapag napapansin natin, they're dry and crepey compared to younger patients. So usually in the regimen or for skincare, we recommend not only for the face but all over the body to make sure that they use good moisturizer to hydrate the skin as well as lock in moisture and prevent dehydration or dryness.
Dr. Tin, is there any advice that you give dun sa mga mahilig maligo ng mga 20-30 minutes dahil yun yung relaxing time nila? Is there any advice on how long you should be in the shower?
You're a quick lukewarm bath. Not enough, not too hot naman kasi baka mamay mag-cause tayo ng burns. So 10 to 15 minutes would do.
Now hand washing is an effective way to prevent COVID-19 as well as other illnesses. In addition to this, we are now constantly spraying our hands with hand sanitizers or even alcohol. And as a result, we get dry hands. How do we avoid this? More after a short break. We're together in health. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.
Protektahi ang imong mga mata batok sa delikado ug makadaot nga ultraviolet nga silaw sa adlaw ug uban pa. Pinaagi sa pagsulob og eksakto nga prescription sa antiyohos o antipara. Likay ang mga simptomas sama sa hanap nga pananaw sa layo o duol nga basahon, sakit sa ulo ug uban pa nga makaapekto sa atong kahimsog nga ang hinungdan depekto sa atong mga mata. Alang sa kumpleto nga primary eye care, contact lenses, fashion eyewear, computer eyeglasses, sunglasses, accessories ug uban pa, adto kita sa AG Buñuel Optical Clinic. Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic nagpahinumdum kanato nga ang kahimsog sa atong mga mata usa ka prioridad nga angay ipa-check up kausa matag tuig aron pagsiguro nga luwas kita sa piligrong mga sakit. Pinaagi sa lisensyado og qualified optometrists nga maoy mo prescribe sa eksaktong kagamitan ug kung primary eye care ang paghisgutan. Duaw lang silang buhatan sa 3636 sa Nicolas Street, Surigao City ug adunay ilang extension office sa Aurelianida Street, Cantilan, Surigao del Sur. Ayaw kalimti higala, AG Buñuel Optical Clinic.
Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic dunay branch dito sa lungsod sa Dapa sa may Lupis Haina Street, Poblasyon Dapa, Surigao del Norte.
Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic dinhi sa syudad ng Surigao no transfer na sa bag-ong location sa Nicolas Street Ragyahapon, tapad sa Garcia Hotel at bang sa Unicity. Ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated na sa ilang bagong location sa Dalan, Burgos ning atong syudad. Mahimo niyong tawagan sa telephone number 231-7478 or 826-3663. Mga produkto nga inyong mapalit, genuine, Makita Power Tools sama sa planer, drill, grinder, Triton paints, construction supplies, angle bars, flat bars, GI pipes, automotive spare parts, Firefly electrical devices sama sa switches, bulbs ug outlets. Adto ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated sa ilang bagong pwesto sa Dalan, Burgos ning syudad. Makahangyo ka o makabarato pagyod diha sa Riverside Parts Master Incorporated.
RPN Radio Philippines Network, Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao, member kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Regular hand washing is the best way to protect ourselves from all kinds of germs, and as a result, we avoid getting sick and getting others sick. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. We're here to build a healthier future for you. When your hands are dirty, germs can spread when you touch your eyes, your nose, and mouth, and when you eat or when you touch a contaminated surface or an object. Dr. Tin, paki-explain nga po sa audience kung gaano ka-importante ang paghuhugas ng kamay at gaano ba kadalas dapat.
Kailangan natin mag-wash very often. Although mas makikita siguro natin before, sinasabi nila hand wash when your hands are soiled. But nowadays, since we know that we're in a pandemic, if we have the chance, mas maganda pa rin po talaga ang hand washing. And hindi lang basta hand washing, we need to have the proper hand washing. Kasi po ang hand washing natin, yun yung first line of defense natin. So, for me, it's not enough na sanitizers or alcohol lang. So, if you have the chance, kunyari nasa work or sa bahay, o may nahawakan ka na frequently touch, cellphones, doorknobs, I guess mas maganda hand wash.
Now, Dr. Emmy, my question is, your advice is to hydrate hands, especially those that are prone to infection. But with the multitude of moisturizers available on the market today in the pharmacies or whatnot, instead of us focusing on the brands, let's focus on what ingredients should your viewers watch out for whenever they choose a moisturizer.
We want an occlusive or more heavy moisturizer so that they can effectively seal the moisture. Usually, ito yung cream base or ointment base, and the main ingredients is usually petrolatum or mineral oil. And for example, for the face, we don't use that because we don't want to clog our pores. So most of the products in the market, they combine the occlusive, emollients, and humectants, meaning iba-iba yung action nila. But the most important is to seal the moisture, to fill in the gaps, and as well as attract moisture into the skin.
Talking about sensitive skin, let's talk about those who are prone to developing atopic dermatitis or madalas naririnig ng mga tao is skin asthma. Dr. Emmy, let's talk about this. Could you explain to our viewers what is this, gaano kadalas ba ito, and what happens to someone who is prone to having atopic dermatitis?
Skin asthma, it's a chronic skin condition, meaning nawawala siya and pwede siyang bumalik. And usually, ang condition nila, they have a deficiency sa skin. So may kulang na part ng skin nila. That's why they're more sensitive and they're more prone to dryness. And overall dry yung skin nila and rough. Usually, those are the signs and symptoms. And the very important, it's really itchy.
Dr. Tin, itong mga medical conditions, for example, hypothyroidism, or isang taong may diabetes, or isang taong may malnutrition, itong lahat ba, paano kaya mas madaling agapan ng isang tao when they see that they have already skin manifestations because of this?
Usually, you have to treat the underlying cause first, or you have to control muna if they're thyroid hormones or yung maintenance medications in terms of sugar control. So, kailangan mo na pong i-address yun. So, katulad po ng sa atopic dermatitis, if tingin po ni doctor, at least yung basic po siguro na you have to hydrate, drink lots of water, hydrate, and put moisturizer.
Dr. Emmy, I'd like to ask, is the sun a big factor on the health of someone's skin, especially when it comes to dryness?
So, the sun is a major contributing factor for skin aging. And you know that when the skin is aging, isa sa symptoms na or sign would be dryness, but not really directly correlated na dry yung skin agad because of sun exposure. But of course, if we are exposed to the sun too much, and there's dehydration, then it could be a factor to dryness.
Is there a product that can do both? Protect your skin from the damaging UV rays, but at the same time moisturizing your skin as well. Are there products available with these ingredients in mind?
Yes, actually, most of the sunscreens or some sunscreens are specialized to be moisturizing as well. So other sunscreen depende if you have oily skin, they're oil-free or gel type. But if you have a dry skin and you want the protection, then sunscreen with moisturizers are also available.
How do we find a solution for one's dry skin? We'll talk about this and more when we return. Your health is our mission. This is Sped Talk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.
Maayong balita sa tanan sa atong panginahanglan sa panimalay, mga gamit, ingon man mga dekorasyon, pwede na natong mapalit diha sa Wellington Bazaar. Anausab sa Wellington Bazaar ang mga bestidahon, karsunison, plain t-shirt, plastic chair, floor mat, mantel, banig, folding bed, habol, mosketero, trapal, lideret, basketball, stuffed toys ug mga dulaan sa bata. Ang Wellington Bazaar ana magalagad kanato sa Dalan Kaimo ning Dakbayan sa Surigao. Wellington Bazaar, gikan sa mga kawani og tigdumala sa Wellington Bazaar. Mayong adlaw alang kaninyo. Wellington Bazaar, sukion ta sa kanunay.
Kasakit yun sa ako ang mga mata. Uy, labad pagyud kay ako ang ulo. Murag kog malipong ba? Unya, murag limtanon pagyud ko. Unsaon man ni, uy.
Naanag yun kay problema, miss. Ha? Tanawagon, nagsakay ka ng tricycle. Wala kay suot, bra. Para masolba na imo problema. Ha? Pag inuman ni, Lutein Plus.
Unsa? Lutein Plus? Asa man na nimo gikan?
Ako man ninadunggan sa radyo, miss. Maong ang kapalit ko naan. Pagpagandam ba?
Sige, salamat kayo ha. Magpalit dayon ko og Lutein Plus.
RPN Radio Philippines Network, Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao, member kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
If you're prone to dry skin, you may want to look into your habits and maybe your diet. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. And our mission is for better health for you and your loved ones. Dr. Tin, we've been talking about yung mga skin manifestation natin dito, no? Pero gaano ka-importante ang pagkain na kinakain ng isang tao when it comes to anong itsura or gaano ka-healthy ang balat nila?
There's a saying na you are what you eat. Right? So it's important siguro po since skin natin is the biggest organs in the body. So it's good siguro na ma-maintain natin siya by taking care of our health by eating fruits and vegetables or a well-balanced diet.
Now I'd like to go to Dr. Emmy. Let's talk about yung mga pagkain na masustansya at may direct effect sa health ng balat ng tao. What type of food should our viewers eat for good, really glowing skin?
Especially for dryness, it's important that you include food with omega-3 and 6 fatty acids because they're essential dun nga sa lipid part ng skin natin or ng barrier function. So they hydrate the skin well and para mas soft and smooth yung skin. So they're very important. And also, of course, hydration. Drink lots of water. If you don't have any condition naman na bawal uminom ng tubig, then it's just plain water or maybe add some lemon but walang other sugar or hindi importante components.
Dr. Tin, let's move on to some prevention naman. So we want to give our viewers some advice on how to prevent dry skin for that matter. Where should they start?
Focus natin is yung hand washing. So as we have mentioned, we can use a variety of emollients or moisturizers that could prevent further dryness due to frequent hand washing. Also for overall yung pagligo natin. So we have to maintain or kung may existing kang skin condition, so you have to limit your beating or pagligo and use lukewarm water and preventing vigorous drying para at least malock in pa rin po yung moisture and use skin products na binigay po ng board certified dermatologist for your family.
And also for Emmy, how can our viewers be able to take care of their skin, not just for dryness, but in general? I'm sure a lot of viewers are not just concerned about the skin in their hands and being dry, but the skin in their face and trying to keep that, from sun damage and everything that could harm their skin. What's your advice for the viewers?
A good moisturizer, especially for the face, non-comedogenic but moisturizing, and also sunscreen because most of skin aging or 80% of our aging of skin is because of UV exposure. And we want to protect our face, for example, from UV exposure.
Ano ang mas nakaka-dry dito? Ang paggamit ng sabon na tubig or ang paggamit ng alcohol na 70% and above isopropyl?
If you are using a mild cleanser, then mas harsh yung alcohol talaga sa kamay because it's really dehydrating the skin and it also damage the lipid layer of the skin. But pareho, if you wash your hands naman talaga ng paulit-ulit kahit gaano pa ka gentle, syempre nade-dehydrate, especially if you're using hot water. So make sure that you moisturize right after hand washing if it's possible, and mga within 2 minutes malagay na yung moisturizer agad para malakin yung moisture sa kamay natin after paghugas ng kamay.
I'd like to thank dermatologist Dr. Emmy Onishi as well as family medicine specialist Dr. Christine Arienda Mojica for joining us today and sharing with our viewers your knowledge. But always make sure that you have any doubts when it comes to taking care of your skin. Always ask the help of your doctor. Dry hands are a normal part of life, especially now since hand hygiene is our first line of defense against COVID-19. That constant washing and spraying of alcohol can lead to ultra dry skin, but you can keep your hands healthy and still be hygienic. So don't skip hand washing. Moisturizing, for one, can bring those hardworking hands back to life. We want to be your partner for a lifetime of good health. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Thank you for watching.
Pahibalo.
Kinsa kadtong interesado nga magpataod og suga aron maapa sa Pasko, ang Dinagat Island Electric Cooperative Incorporated kun DIELCO mopahibalo kaninyo nga ang pagdawat sa inyong mga aplikasyon taman lamang sa Disyembre 11 tuig 2021 cut-off date. Among gikasubo nga kung dili maapa sa naasoy nga petsa, dili na kami makapaniguro nga makahatag og panahon sa pagpanaod sa Pasko ug bag-ong tuig tungod kini sa atong pagmintinar sa linya panahon sa Kapaskuhan. Daghang salamat, Sergio C. Dagook, General Manager.
Para sa makanunayong pagpadayag og impormasyon kabahin sa environmental protection, social development ug safety and health, ang Cagdianaw Mining Corporation ug Hinatuan Mining Corporation madasigong modalit kaninyo og programa ang PUK o Paglaom o Kalambuan. Dili lamang sa RPN DXKS Radio Ronda 1080. Kaysa responsable na pagmina